Did you know that as an American, there are places in the world where you're not just unwelcome, you're completely banned? Imagine booking a flight, packing your bags, and landing at your dream destination, only to be stopped at the airport, denied entry, or even detained. Scary, right? Right now, there are countries where a U.S. passport won't get you in, no matter how much money you have or how badly you want to visit. Some are war zones, others have strict government policies, and a few, they simply don't want American tourists at all. North Korea, no chance. Russia, think again. And what's happening with Cuba? The list might surprise you, but why are these places off limits? What could happen if you ignore the warnings? And are there any loopholes? Stay with us as we uncover the shocking reasons why 10 countries have shut their doors to American tourists. Some are too dangerous to visit, while others, well, the truth isn't what you think. Before we dive in, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because if you love to travel, you need to know this before planning your next trip. Let's get started. Number 10. North Korea. For Americans, North Korea isn't just a risky destination, it's a complete no-go. No tourist visas, no loopholes, no exceptions. Since 2017, the US government has outright banned its own citizens from traveling there. If you try, you won't just be denied entry. You could face serious legal trouble back home. But why is North Korea so dangerous for American tourists? It all comes down to extreme government control, propaganda, and past incidents. The most infamous case was Otto Warmbier, a U.S. student who was arrested in 2016 for allegedly stealing a propaganda poster. He was sentenced to 15 years of hard labor but was returned to the U.S. in a coma and tragically passed away soon after. His case was a wake-up call. Americans in North Korea aren't just visitors, they're political pawns. Even before the travel ban, entering North Korea was a highly restricted, government-controlled experience. Visitors were constantly monitored, movement was limited, and even taking the wrong photo could get you arrested. Today, the risks are even greater, with heightened tensions between North Korea and the US. So, what happens if an American somehow sneaks in? They could face immediate detention, espionage charges, or worse. And with no US embassy in North Korea, there's no one to help you. If you're fascinated by North Korean culture, there's a safer way to experience it. South Korea offers tours to the Demilitarized Zone, DMZ, where you can get a glimpse of North Korea without the risk. But stepping foot inside the country itself? Absolutely not worth it. Want to know which country on this list is just as dangerous? Keep watching. Things are about to get even more shocking. Number 9. Iran. If you're an American hoping to visit Iran, good luck. It's one of the most difficult countries for U.S. citizens to enter. While it's not completely banned like North Korea, the process is so complicated that most people don't even bother trying. First, you can't just book a flight and show up. U.S. tourists need special approval from the Iranian government, and the visa process is a nightmare. You must apply through an Iranian tour company, be constantly supervised by a government-approved guide, and follow strict rules throughout your stay. There's no solo backpacking, no exploring on your own, and no casual meetups with locals. Why is it so difficult for Americans? Tensions between the U.S. and Iran have been rocky for over 40 years. Ever since the 1979 Iranian Revolution and the hostage crisis at the U.S. Embassy, relations between the two nations have been hostile. The U.S. has imposed heavy sanctions on Iran, and in return, Iran has made travel extremely difficult for American citizens. Even if you get a visa, your safety isn't guaranteed. The U.S. government warns that American tourists have been arrested and detained for months, or even years, on vague charges like espionage. Iran does not recognize dual citizenship, meaning if you have Iranian heritage, you could be treated as an Iranian citizen and blocked from returning to the U.S. So, what's the alternative? If you're fascinated by Persian culture, Turkey is a much easier and safer destination. It has stunning mosques, vibrant bazaars, and a rich history, without the risk of being detained. But Iran isn't the only country where politics make travel impossible for Americans. Up next, we're heading to a place where U.S. passports could get you into serious trouble. Stay tuned. Number 8. Russia. If you're an American planning a trip to Russia, you might want to rethink your plans. While Russia hasn't officially banned U.S. tourists, the reality is that getting in and getting out has never been more difficult. Since the start of the war in Ukraine, tensions between the U.S. and Russia have reached dangerous levels. In response to Western sanctions, Russia has severely restricted visas for Americans, making it nearly impossible for casual tourists to visit. Even those who do manage to enter face a high risk of interrogation, surveillance, or even wrongful detention. The most chilling cases involve U.S. citizens being accused of espionage and held in Russian prisons. Journalist Evan Gershkovich and former Marine Paul Whelan were arrested on suspicious charges and remain behind bars. The U.S. government has repeatedly warned that Russia specifically targets American citizens for political leverage, making even a simple trip a potential nightmare. Even if you avoid legal trouble, the situation for tourists has deteriorated rapidly. Flights between the US and Russia are almost non-existent. Many international businesses have pulled out, and anti-American sentiment is at an all-time high. If you've always dreamed of visiting Red Square or St. Petersburg, there's a safer alternative. Georgia, the country, not the US state, offers stunning architecture, rich history, and breathtaking landscapes, without the risk of being caught in political crossfire. Russia isn't the only country where American travelers are facing serious risks. Coming up next, we head to a nation where war, terrorism, and lawlessness have made it one of the most dangerous places on earth. Stay with us. Number 7. Syria. If there's one country where American tourists absolutely should not go, it's Syria. Once a breathtaking destination filled with ancient ruins and vibrant culture, Syria has become one of the most dangerous places on the planet. For over a decade, the country has been torn apart by war, terrorism, and extreme instability. The U.S. government doesn't just advise against traveling to Syria, it has completely banned U.S. citizens from entering without special permission. And for good reason. The ongoing conflict has made Syria a hotspot for kidnappings, bombings, and violent attacks. Extremist groups, including ISIS, have a history of targeting Westerners, with some Americans being taken hostage and even executed. Even if you somehow manage to enter the country, your safety would be at constant risk. Basic services like hospitals, law enforcement, and communication networks are barely functioning in many areas. Roads are often controlled by different armed factions, meaning that one wrong turn could put you in the hands of a terrorist group. And here's the terrifying part. If something happens to you in Syria, the US can't help you. There's no American embassy, no diplomatic ties, and no way for the government to negotiate your release if you're detained or kidnapped. You would be completely on your own. For those interested in the history and beauty of the Middle East, Jordan is a much safer alternative. With wonders like Petra and the Dead Sea, you can still experience ancient ruins and rich culture without putting your life in danger. But Syria isn't the only country where Americans are at extreme risk. Up next, we'll take a look at a nation where the government has collapsed, crime is rampant, and tourists are prime targets for violence. Stay tuned. Number 6. Libya. If there's one country where law and order simply don't exist, it's Libya. Once a thriving North African destination, Libya has become a chaotic battleground of militias, crime, and political unrest. The U.S. government has not only issued a Level 4 Do Not Travel advisory, but it has also closed its embassy and completely withdrawn American diplomatic presence. Since the fall of dictator Muammar Gaddafi in 2011, Libya has been in a state of anarchy. Rival warlords and armed militias fight for control, making the country a deadly place for foreigners, especially Americans. If you enter Libya, you're not just at risk of being caught in the crossfire. You could be kidnapped, held for ransom, or worse. Westerners, especially Americans, are prime targets for terrorist groups like ISIS and Al-Qaeda, both of which operate in Libya. In 2012, the U.S. consulate in Benghazi was attacked, leading to the deaths of several Americans, including the U.S. ambassador. Since then, Libya has been one of the most dangerous places in the world for U.S. citizens. Even if you somehow manage to avoid war zones and criminal groups, the lack of police, medical services, and basic infrastructure means you're completely on your own if anything goes wrong. If you get sick, injured, or need help, there's no embassy, no emergency services, and no way out. For those fascinated by North African culture, there's a much safer option: Tunisia. Just next door, Tunisia offers stunning Mediterranean beaches, ancient ruins, and vibrant markets, without the life-threatening risks. Libya is dangerous, but it's not the only country where Americans are at extreme risk. Up next, we head to a place where war, famine, and terrorist activity have made it one of the worst humanitarian disasters in the world. Stay with us. We put a lot of effort into making these videos, and your support means everything. If you found this helpful, drop a comment below and tell us which country on this list surprised you the most, and if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. It's just one click, but it helps us create even better content for you. Blast off. Number 5. Yemen. If there's one place where Americans should never set foot, it's Yemen. This war-torn nation has been called one of the worst humanitarian disasters in modern history, and for good reason. Years of civil war, terrorism, and famine have left the country in complete ruin, making it one of the deadliest places on earth for U.S. travelers. Since 2015, Yemen has been engulfed in a violent civil war between the government and the Houthi rebel group. This conflict has devastated cities, destroyed infrastructure, and left millions starving. The U.S. government has issued a Level 4 Do Not Travel warning, and even humanitarian workers struggle to enter safely. For Americans, the dangers are extreme. Terrorist organizations like Al-Qaeda and ISIS are active in Yemen, and U.S. citizens have been kidnapped for ransom or used as bargaining chips in political conflicts. The Houthis have openly declared the U.S. an enemy, meaning any American caught in Yemen could face detainment, torture, or worse. Even if you somehow avoid militants, daily life in Yemen is a struggle for survival. Food and clean water are scarce, hospitals barely function, and airstrikes can happen at any moment. And if you find yourself in trouble, there's no U.S. embassy, no diplomatic assistance, and no way out. For those interested in Arabian culture, a much safer alternative is Oman. With its stunning deserts, ancient forts, and peaceful cities, Oman offers a rich Middle Eastern experience, without the extreme risks of Yemen. But Yemen isn't the only country where diplomatic tensions make travel dangerous. Up next, we head to a South American nation where U.S. tourists aren't just unwelcome. They could face serious threats. Stay tuned. Number 4. Venezuela. Venezuela was once a hotspot for travelers, with its stunning beaches, lush rainforests, and vibrant cities. But today, it's one of the most dangerous places for Americans to visit. Political turmoil, violent crime, and an unstable government have made Venezuela a no-go zone. And for U.S. citizens, the risks are even higher. For years, tensions between the U.S. and Venezuela have been at an all-time high. The U.S. government no longer has an embassy or consulate in Venezuela, meaning if you run into trouble, there's no official help available. On top of that, Americans have been wrongfully detained on accusations of espionage and political interference. But politics isn't the only danger. Violent crime is out of control. Caracas, the capital, is ranked as one of the most dangerous cities in the world, with sky-high rates of kidnappings, armed robberies, and murders. Criminal gangs and corrupt officials make it nearly impossible to travel safely. And if you're an American, you're a prime target for extortion or worse. Basic necessities like food, medicine, and electricity are unreliable, and protests and riots can erupt without warning. Even if you manage to avoid crime and political trouble, Venezuela's economy is in freefall, making daily life unpredictable and dangerous for tourists. If you're looking for a South American getaway, Colombia is a much safer alternative. With breathtaking landscapes, rich culture, and a booming tourism industry, it offers everything Venezuela once did, without the extreme risks. But Venezuela isn't the only place where travel comes with a long list of restrictions. Up next, we head to an island nation where U.S. tourists are caught in a web of strict travel laws and government regulations. Stay with us. Number 3. Cuba. Cuba is one of the most misunderstood travel destinations for Americans. While it's not outright banned like North Korea, visiting isn't as simple as booking a flight and packing your bags. Strict U.S. government regulations make traveling to Cuba a legal gray area, and one wrong move could land you in trouble. Unlike most countries, U.S. citizens can't just visit Cuba as tourists. Instead, you must qualify under one of 12 special categories, such as educational activities, journalism, or humanitarian projects. The easiest loophole? The Support for the Cuban People category, which requires travelers to stay in local homes, eat at small family-run restaurants, and avoid government-owned businesses. Even if you follow the rules, tensions between the U.S. and Cuba remain high. Political conflicts, past sanctions, and the ongoing embargo have made travel complicated. And while Cuba is generally safe for visitors, Americans have reported mysterious health issues, known as Havana syndrome, which still remains unexplained. Adding to the challenge, using American credit cards, mobile services, and online banking is nearly impossible in Cuba due to restrictions. Travelers must bring cash for their entire trip, making budgeting tricky. If you're looking for a Caribbean escape without the travel restrictions, Puerto Rico is a perfect alternative. It offers the same tropical vibes, beautiful beaches, and rich culture, without needing a visa or worrying about government regulations. Cuba may be difficult, but it's not the final stop on our list. Up next, we visit a country where Americans face strict government controls, visa rejections, and rising hostility. Stay tuned. We put a lot of effort into making these videos, and your support means everything. If you found this helpful, drop a comment below and tell us which country on this list surprised you the most. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. It's just one click, but it helps us create even better content for you. Blast off. Number 2. Belarus. Belarus may not be the first country that comes to mind when thinking about banned travel, but for Americans it has become incredibly difficult to visit and extremely risky. With rising political tensions, visa restrictions, and increasing hostility toward Western travelers, Belarus is now one of the most unwelcoming destinations for U.S. citizens. The biggest reason? Its close ties with Russia. Since the start of the Russia-Ukraine war, Belarus has fully supported Moscow, making it a highly unfriendly place for Americans. In response, the U.S. has issued a Level 4 Do Not Travel warning, citing the risk of wrongful detentions, government surveillance, and possible military conflicts. If you somehow make it past the strict visa process, don't expect a warm welcome. The Belarusian government has been known to target foreign travelers, especially those from the U.S. and other Western nations. The security situation is unpredictable, and if you're caught in the wrong place at the wrong time, you could be accused of spying or interfering in government affairs, even if you're just a tourist. Another major concern is lack of embassy support. The U.S. has severely limited diplomatic operations in Belarus, meaning if something goes wrong, there's almost no help available. If you're detained, you may have to rely on third-party countries to negotiate your release, which could take months or even years. If you're looking for a safer alternative with similar history and culture, Poland is a much better choice. It offers beautiful old towns, rich heritage, and easy access to Eastern Europe, without the extreme risks of Belarus. But Belarus isn't the last country on our list. Up next, we visit a nation where extremist groups have taken control, and Americans are actively warned to stay away at all costs. Stay tuned. Number 1. Afghanistan. Afghanistan has always been a challenging destination, but since the Taliban takeover in 2021, it has become one of the most dangerous places on Earth for American travelers. The U.S. government has issued a Level 4 Do Not Travel advisory, warning that Americans who enter Afghanistan may never make it out. The risks here are extreme. Kidnappings, wrongful detentions, and terrorism are daily realities. The Taliban has openly hostile relations with the U.S., and American citizens are often seen as political leverage rather than tourists. Since the withdrawal of U.S. troops, Afghanistan has no official U.S. diplomatic presence, meaning if you're arrested, detained, or worse, there's no one to help you. If that weren't enough, ISIS-K, Al-Qaeda, and other extremist groups are still active, carrying out attacks in major cities like Kabul. Suicide bombings, targeted killings, and random violence make even basic movement within the country incredibly dangerous. Foreigners, especially Westerners, are prime targets for hostage situations, and some have been held captive for years. Even if you manage to avoid these threats, the country itself is in complete collapse. Basic services like hospitals, electricity, and transportation are unreliable. Banks barely function, and poverty is at an all-time high. Even humanitarian workers struggle to operate safely, and foreign visitors stand out in a way that puts them at even greater risk. If you're fascinated by Afghanistan's culture and breathtaking landscapes, there's a much safer alternative. Pakistan's northern regions like Hunza Valley offer similar scenery, history, and hospitality without the extreme risks. With Afghanistan, we reach the final country on our list. But before you go, don't forget to drop a comment below. Which country shocked you the most? And if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button. Your support helps us bring more valuable content straight to you. Traveling the world is one of life's greatest joys, but for Americans, some destinations are simply too dangerous, too restricted, or too risky. Whether it's war, political tensions, or outright bans, these 10 countries have shut their doors to U.S. tourists, some permanently. But the question remains, will things ever change? Will these places become safe again, or will the travel bans only get stricter? We put a huge amount of effort into making these videos, countless hours of research, editing, and storytelling, just to bring you the most valuable and eye-opening content. If you appreciate what we do, please hit that subscribe button. It's just one click for you, but for us, it means everything. It helps us grow, continue making videos, and share even more important travel insights with you. And before you go, let us know in the comments, which country on this list shocked you the most? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Love, Heart, Airplane, Globe.